Mega Greninja Feraligatr, Mega Greninja Zoroark, Mega Greninja Infinite Bidoof, Team Rocket's Mega Greninja, Mega Greninja Control, Mega Greninja Mega Dragonite, Mega Greninja Bloodmoon Ursaluna, and so many more. The 60 spread damage from Mortal Shuriken is ridiculously versatile. Plus, it's tacked onto an enormous 350 HP body, packing the least relevant weakness in the game. And Ninja Spinner's rate of 200 for 2 energy is really solid. It's a lot better than my mortgage rate. But seriously, I need you fellas to know I am not messing around with these cooks. So let's start off with an absolutely sick one that I have genuine confidence in. Mega Greninja paired with Festival Lead's Boom Boom Groove engine. We've got a thick 433 line of Mega Greninja with only a single copy of the Fighting Terror, which is going to be pretty standard for the majority of my lists. And there's no ignition energy. I just don't think there's a ton of value in that unnecessary inclusion. People are just throwing it in purely to sometimes fuel Mirage Barrage. When you really need to use that attack, Neo Opera Energy can get the job done anyway. No, the main functionality of Terra Greninja is that it gives up 2 prize cards as opposed to 3, can attack for a single water energy, and that it hits for a relevant weakness thanks to its fighting type. But you don't care about that. You're here for the real source. You're here for the festival fellas and Boom Boom Groove. See, when you have one of the festive fish in the active, Thwacky can once per turn search your deck for any card. However, you don't really want those festival leaders to hog all the space in the active, which is where Surfing Beach comes in, a card Mega Greninja already loves to naturally include, allowing you to switch the water types as soon as you're done using Boom Boom Groove to cherry pick out a couple cards, ending up with an easy Mega Greninja in the active ready to put in some work. Plus, in the late game when we don't need to use the engine as much, Surfing Beach can lead into a double or even triple Mortal Shuriken. Because we have such easy access to literally every card in our deck, this enables a few nifty one-of tech options like Boss's Orders, Wally's Compassion, and Special Red Card, while also meaning we can cut down the counts of other combo cards like Rare Candy, since we have that incredible search engine to find them exactly when they're required. I will say though, one key issue that this build has, which is also shared with the original Festival Lead deck, is that if your opponent just bosses up Thwacky, thanks to its hefty 2 retreat cost, you need to find a way to move it out of the active. Luckily, Mega Greninja is already more than happy to include a couple copies of Air Balloon, so I've just thrown in a third as well as a single switch, meaning that you can even preload 2 Air Balloons onto your Thwackies and become resistant to any boss unfair stamp combos. This particular build's got me really excited, and I will definitely continue to explore the Festival Lead engine a lot more going forward. While that was a spicy one, I do also think it's very important to cover the basics as well. So next, let's take a look at what is probably the most consistent way to play the Mega Frog. But first, I need you guys to know I put a ton of effort into these. It's so much more than just hitting record and yapping about these lists. I spent way too long refining and ensuring that I could win a good chunk of ladder games with each individual 60. Also, you'd be getting some proper Tim Danklin approved lists. And if you want to keep seeing more, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, hype the video, all of that, so I can know that you do appreciate this quality content. And yes, I will be saving the best one for last. Anyway, if you were to hold a gun to my head and say don't brick with Greninja, this is probably what I'd come up with. Dudunsparce is arguably the most low to the ground and easy to include draw engine there is. Runaway Draw lets you see an extra 3 cards while also shuffling Dudunsparce into the deck, meaning you'll have no liabilities left behind on the bench. Alternatively, you could just evolve up Dudunsparce without using its ability and leave it on the bench for later as insurance against any future hand disruption. We've also got maxed out counts of Hilda, Buddy Buddy Poffin, Pokepad, and Ultra Ball. So you can always just dump any excess Pokemon search into cycling the Dunsparces in the mid to late game. Another huge benefit to running this engine is that you get the option to play a one-of Dunsparce EX. Tenacious Tail is the perfect answer to any deck aggressively filling their bench with EX Pokemon, like Raging Bolt, Slotbox, and any of the other Teal Mask Ogerpon decks. Plus, while its second attack Destructive Drill costs 3 energy, it completely ignores any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, making it an incredible answer into Crustle or any other walls. There is one glaring weakness though. Dudunsparce grass is a colorless Pokemon. And unfortunately, Team Rocket's Watchtower exists. If your opponent combos this Disruptive Stadium with something like Unfair Stamp, you can be completely bricked out of the game. So because of this, I've gone with 4 copies of Surfing Beach to maximize our odds of hitting a counter stadium. If you want, you could even take it a step further and include the stadium bumping Chen Pao, but I thought this was a little bit overkill. So that was all focused on consistency, but we can easily spice it up with just a couple changes. Introducing Mega Greninja Feraligatr. Well, Feraligatr is sick, but the main draw here is actually Totodile. See, its retreat locking Big Bite attack is able to enable a really cool combo with Mega Greninja. You can use Big Bite to lock something up, then next turn Surfing Beach into Greninja, use Mortal Shuriken on something, then Air Balloon retreat back into Totodile and continue the lock. This is why I've also chosen to include a second copy of Boss's Orders, and you could even go up to 3 if you want. But gusting isn't always needed to get value out of Totodile. If you're expecting your opponent to go for some itchy pollen, Totodile can lock Badoo in the active for multiple turns while you slowly build up under item lock. This is the main reason why I prefer it to the other water-typed retreat locker, Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. Plus, the Baby Croc is also Buddy Poffin searchable, which is never something to complain about. And of course, we do have the Big Gator here as well. You can easily rare candy it out for a surprise 280 burst damage thanks to that Torrential Heart ability. All it needs is a second water energy or just Neo Upper energy since it is a stage 2 Pokemon. Plus, the fact that all this is coming from a 1 prizer is such an insane way to manipulate the prize trade, which is especially relevant since you're usually relying on a 3 prize Mega. Although, if you really want, you could absolutely include another Mega to this deck. But unfortunately, I do think Mega Feraligatr is a little bit too mid at the moment. Sorry, fellas. How about we get even spicier though, with a personal favorite of mine, Bloodmoon Ursaluna. Lunatone is still, in my opinion, probably the most aggressive draw engine you can use at the moment. Literally, what other card is capable of drawing you 3 so easily at next to no cost on the very first turn of the game? Plus, Solrock is an insane attacker, great for early game pressure as soon as turn 1. And even if you aren't taking a KO, it can still neatly set up numbers for Mega Greninja to capitalize on later. But the best part about the pair is how they simply do not care about Team Rocket's Watchtower. So we can comfortably cut down to just 2 stadiums. While it may seem a bit unintuitive at first, we can also lower the Poffin count down to 3, since we aren't getting as much value out of it now that it's no longer relevant to our draw engine. And honestly, thanks to Solrock's early game pressure, we can often forego benching any Froakie on the first turn of the game and still be fine. A card we do get a lot more value out of now though is Energy Retrieval. Fueling both our draw engine and Mega Greninja's ability, I chose to go all in on this card as opposed to playing more of either specific energy type. You could also consider some count of Lana's aid in this spot, but I enjoy the flexibility of not having to commit my supporter for turn. Oh, and we should probably address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the bear in the room. Baby Bloodmoon Ursaluna has some beautiful synergy with Mega Greninja. 60 damage has always been the magic number for Mad Bite to one-shot the PokemonTCG's biggest threat. Netting an effective 340 total damage, Mortal Shuriken is the perfect partner. Plus, with our new alternative fighting type attacker, we no longer need to make space for the Terra Greninja. If you want, you could absolutely lean more into the bear and even potentially consider changing the A-Spec to reflect this. Team Rocket's Mega Greninja is an idea I've had ever since I cooked Team Rocket's Starmie. Both of these water-type Megas are perfectly complemented by Golbat and Crobat's additional spread damage abilities, while Team Rocket's Sneasel has insane synergy with Mortal Shuriken. A single ability use sets up Meowth to be KO'd off the bench with Strike the Sleeper, easily closing games out. And 2 60 damage pings is enough for Sneasel to finish off anything with 360 HP or less. So basically anything in the game. There is the downside that you can only target benched Pokemon, so those pesky Terras are effectively immune, but that's why we have Team Rocket's Mimikyu. There may not be a better feeling than copying Phantom Dive and comboing it with your own Mortal Shuriken. Honestly, I'm pretty tempted to rebuild this idea and focus even more on the Rocket's attackers, going up to a full 4 copies of the Special Energy, and possibly playing a different A-Spec to further support this. On the theme of synergistic spread decks, there's also Mega Greninja Mega Starmie, whose Jetting Blow attack perfectly plays off of Mortal Shuriken, quickly racking up a ton of damage all over your opponent's board. Starmie also allows for much more aggressive openers, only requiring a single water energy and having no need for rare candy to get that crucial turn 2 attack. With these early attacks from such a tanky mega Pokemon, I was actually finding a ton of scenarios where I would survive a hit, and if I could just pull off Wally's Compassion, I'd pretty much just win on the spot. So I threw one in the list, as well as a Meowth EX to ensure that I always had reliable access to it when I actually needed the supporter. Those last couple decks both had a cheeky 2-2 to Dunsparce line slotted in as an easy, concise draw engine, and most of the time, that works fine. However, I'm not gonna lie to you, I ran into a few too many Dragapults that would just play down Team Rocket's Watchtower, slam Unfair Stamp, and win the game on the spot. And I got sick of it. I wanted the most disruption-resilient draw engine possible. So that's how I ended up with a 4-4 line of N Zoroark. Getting to use trade every turn feels incredible, and Zoroark's 280 HP makes it near impossible to pick off, unlike some of the squishier Watchtower resistant alternatives like Thwackey or Dracloak. It does come with the downside of being weak to grass and giving up 2 prize cards, but trust me, when you build up a board of 3 Zoroarks and 3 Mega Greninjas, that's peak. Also, I haven't really mentioned it yet, but the new Frogadier actually has a seriously useful setup attack in Summoning Jutsu, searching out any 3 Pokemon to hand. This is basically Cyrano on a stick and a great resource-efficient way to set up your entire draw engine. As usual though, this solution isn't without its flaws. Zoroark has such an annoying 2 retreat cost, and it isn't a water type, so it can't make use of Surfing Beach either. Now, you could just add N's Castle and give it free retreat that way, but it would take away from the potential double or even triple Mortal Shuriken plays that the beach enables. You will need an extra mobility card, so I've chosen to go with a copy of Switch to give me something against Retreat Lock, although a 3rd Air Balloon could be alright too. But if you're really worried about Zoroark getting stuck in the active, why not just let it attack? Yep, we're adding in 3 Dark Energy and N Zekrom. You will still need that extra mobility card since now Zekrom has the potential to get trapped, but you'll never need to preemptively bench that guy, and you can always just do it reactively when you actually need to attack. And thanks to Crispin, you can technically build an attack out of nowhere by accelerating one of those Dark Energies. Of course, now that we are playing Dark Energies, you already know Monkey Dory's going straight in the list. That guy's the GOAT. This is definitely another list that I would love to spend some more time on. I've got a few more ideas I really want to test out, like maybe thinning down the Greninja line a little and adding in some more Zoroark enablers like N's PP up. I'm sorry for this next one, fellas, but while we're on the topic of Watchtower resistant draw engines, I do have to mention Mega Greninja Dragapult. I don't think it comes as a surprise that Dracloak is really consistent. It is a little susceptible to spread damage with only 90 HP, but you do have the option to evolve it and start swinging with your own Dragapult thanks to Neo Upper Energy. And if you ever pull off double Mortal Shuriken into Phantom Dive, it is nuts. Now, I do also want to highlight this list from the recent Japan Championships that placed 28th. They've chosen to go with Sparkling Crystal over Neo Upper Energy, which still helps you attack with Dragapult. And although it does nothing for Mega Greninja, the real draw is powering up the Fighting Terra Greninja. In fact, with Sparkling Crystal and Crispin for any 2 energies, you can instantly jump scare a Mirage out of nowhere. And honestly, it's kind of worth it just for that. But I think we've had enough recon directives for this video. Let's get back to some spice. See, I actually uploaded a members only preview of this video last week, and one of those wonderful channel members commented a sick idea that I hadn't actually considered yet. Mega Greninja, Mega Dragonite. The Sky Transport ability offers a free once per turn switch, which is insane. Think Surfing Beach, but without the water type restriction, so you can pull off plays like Itchy Pollen with Bidoof, then next turn retreat into Greninja, use Mortal Shuriken, and Sky Transport back into Bidoof to keep up the item lock. This is their exact 60, which makes great use of the Bidoof combo and also includes Totodile to pull off similar plays but with retreat lock instead. It's also worth noting that with Neo Upper Energy, you can technically attack with Mega Dragonite for a massive 330 damage swing that can absolutely close out games. Plus, there's some real incentive to actually be attaching energy onto Dragonair. If it does have an energy attached, that evolutionary guidance ability lets you search out any evolution Pokemon once per turn. A perfect consistency addition. And even in the worst case, just grab grabbing out another Dunsparce and drawing more cards is never a bad option. Now, if you fellas want early access to these lists, other videos, and some pretty cool bonus content like this Dragonite chef has, you can feel free to join up as a YouTube channel member, Patreon supporter, or check out my Metafy. Anyway, this concept gave me an idea. See, I love using Itchy Pollen. And what if I just want to do that every turn of the game and never attack with anything else? Every turn, I'm just going to retreat Badoo into Greninja, Mortal Shuriken, maybe use Surfing Beach to go into another Greninja for another Mortal Shuriken, and then Sky Transport right back into Badoo to keep Itchy Pollening. My favorite part about this game plan is that even if I'm taking KOs, since they're item locked the entire time, I don't need to care about Unfair Stamp or Special Red Card. We've also got Patrat to ensure Monkidori isn't a problem. Lana's Aid allows us to continuously cycle Badoos and Water Energy. There's even an Energy Recycler because we are going to be discarding a lot of Water Energies. And for the A-Spec, who needs Neo Upper Energy? I'm not planning on attacking with Greninja until it wins me the game. So let's just draw a ton of cards with an Enriching Energy that we can keep cycling thanks to Dunsparce. This deck may not be perfect, but I promise it will ruin someone's day. This last Mega Dragonite list is a fair bit different, but I gotta show it off because it just placed 44th at the Japan Championships. It's got a ton of cool ideas like using the Petrol Precious Trolley combo for a consistent bench setup, Mega Kangaskhan as a draw engine that we can easily move around thanks to all the mobility, and Area Zero Underdepths to play off of the Terra Greninja EX. Also, they've actually incorporated basic lightning energies to regularly attack with Dragonite. You can even attach an Ignition Energy, which is normally just there for Mirage Barrage, and discard it instead of your Water or Lightnings to fulfill the Ryuno Glide attack cost. You know what? Let's take a look at a few more exciting Mega Greninja lists from Japan. Then we'll finish off with my absolute favorite cook. This particular build pairs Mega Greninja with Palafin EX, which is such an interesting card that I've been trying to make work for the longest time. Both beefy waterfellas require switching to maximize their value, so it's actually a pretty logical combination. It's also nice that Palafin can attack for just a single Water Energy, freeing our A-Spec from being locked to Neo Upper Energy, allowing you to play whatever you want. This list could definitely do with some adjustments, but it's a really neat idea overall. Here we've got another 60 making use of Mega Kangaskhan and Latias, just like that Japanese Mega Dragonite build, although this one is just playing the raw item switch instead. Brock Scouting can straight up surge both Kangaskhan and Latias to guarantee Run Errand as a solid way to provide quick and easy consistency that doesn't require an evolution like Dunsparce. This next one is an interesting variant of Mega Greninja that has thinned out the standard lines in order to make room for another attacking option. Mega Frostlass, whose Resentful Refrain attack deals a ton of damage for just a single Water Energy, if your opponent's got enough cards in hand. Why not just combine these concepts and then throw on even more spice? Mega Greninja, Mega Frostlass with the Kangaskhan Latias draw engine and a random 2-1-2 Togekiss line, so that sometimes you can flip heads and steal a game. They've even gone all out with Grand Tree as the A-Spec to have an easier time setting up Togekiss. Although, because of the lack of Neo Upper Energy, there is more focus on the Terra rather than the Mega. Lastly, for the Japanese lists, we have this absolutely fire cook. Mega Greninja, Mega Absol. I love the combo of using Mortal Shuriken to perfectly set up for Absol's terminal period, resulting in a one-hit KO no matter what, unless they have missed energy. Although it actually seems more of the deck is focused on Yveltal. With Petron, you can actually pull off a combo very similar to Totodile's Big Bite Retreat Lock, using Yveltal's Clutch, then retreating into Mega Greninja, popping a Mortal Shuriken, and activating Petron's Subjugating Change to move Yveltal right back into the active. This will even poison it as well, so we can build up damage for Monkidori to play with. Overall, an extremely cool concept and very reminiscent of Mega Absol, Mega Kangaskhan. Big fan of it. But you fellas have stuck around long enough, so alright, here it is. Mega Greninja Control. I'll be honest, this one has been really hard to build, but I know there is something there. So many random water Pokemon just happen to have incredibly interesting utility attacks. We already talked about Totodile's Big Bite and how that Retreat Lock combo with Surfing Beach works so well. But this Fione has Beckon, allowing you to infinitely recycle supporters while still getting in pings with Mega Greninja. It could be Boss's Orders to stall out your opponent, Zerosix to delete their resources, or just Lana's Extra's Aid for infinite water energy. There's also Cubchoo with the snotted up attack. He's just like me for real. Sorry about my voice for this entire video. But yeah, this attack prevents the opponent's active from attacking full stop. They're gonna have to retreat into something else and waste a bunch of resources if they want to make any progress. It kind of plays like an alternative flavor of Totodile's retreat lock. But the real dream is to find a way to make any of the water Pokemon with guaranteed paralysis attacks work in this list. Imagine locking up your opponent's active every turn, preventing them from doing anything, all while spreading damage everywhere with Mortal Shuriken. Black Kyurem, Regice, and Weavile are all the best options, but they come with some attack costs that are very annoying to satisfy. There are a few ways to make it slightly more tolerable, like Counter Gain or Power Glass, but these don't completely solve the problem. And any currently available option that does 100% compromises the rest of the deck's functionality. So unfortunately, I've had to exclude the Paralysis package for now. But the deck can still work without it, and I would absolutely love to see a build like this find success. Alright, that's all I've got for today. Hope you fellas enjoyed. I can't wait to hear how you go with your favorite 60s from this video, and get keen for the next one. Cheers.